The proposed cuts to government ministers' salaries have taken effect. News of this from Prime Minister Frundle Stewart at the reopening and renaming of what was the Fars Children's Home and is now the Marina Brewster Centre at Fars, St. Peter. He says the 10% reduction took effect last month. The salaries of the minister's personal staff have also been cut.
Who insisted that that course of action be pursued. I did not think that the country should be asked to make sacrifices and the people governing the country behave as though the country were not in any kind of crisis or facing any kind of challenge. So those instructions were given. Members of the cabinet all agreed, not only for ourselves, but for the people who work around us at a personal level. And as far as I'm aware, those initiatives are underway.
Finance Minister Chris Sinclair first announced in December last year that the cuts were being made as part of government's overall economic recovery program. The legislative framework to give effect to the salary cuts was put in place a few months ago. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister will meet with the officials from the National Conservation Commission tomorrow to get an update on the retrenchment process there.
One of the decisions which the NCC was working on was that of trying to make sure that in the retrenchment exercise, you did not dispose of your most able-bodied and productive workers and end up with persons who had less to give at this stage of their lives than would be consistent with the best interests of the National Conservation Commission or the country.
The new Barbados Revenue Authority is putting measures in place to ensure there is no recurrence of overpaid or duplicated tax refunds under its watch. This assurance has come from Commissioner of the Authority, Margaret Sivers, at the Barbados International Business Association's monthly business seminar at the Hilton, Barbados. At the time, she was responding to Auditor General Lee Trotman's recent report, which showed that taxpayers returned almost $1 million to the Inland Revenue Department in overpaid refunds for financial year 2012 to 2013.
We do recognize that there are some issues with respect to the payment of refunds, and we are looking at that. We are looking at putting measures in place to reduce, if not eliminate, a duplicate payment being made. We recognize that some of it is system related, and therefore we are putting in place a team to deal with this particular issue, not only from the IT perspective, but also from the business perspective.
Ms. Sivers says while the situation was inherited from the Inland Revenue Department, the board is committed to ensuring that it is dealt with comprehensively. This, she says, will include implementing an internal audit unit.
We have already organized with the Auditor General to meet with him to discuss how we will go forward in terms of not only auditing taxes, but tax administration, but to do it from a value for money perspective, which brings a totally different approach to auditing of the organization.
Government has been urged to closely monitor unlicensed vending on the island, in tourist areas especially. The call from the president of the Barbados Hotel and Tourism Association, Patricia Afonso Das, who wants everything done to address the issue of harassment and crime against visitors.
It's often said that, why should crime against visitors be any different than crime against locals? Well, there is no difference. Suffice it to say that at the end of the day, if the visitors stop coming because of harassment, the locals who live here would be hard-pressed to survive. Tourism drives the revenues for this country, and all of us as Barbadians need to do whatever we can to ensure that that industry remains strong.
Tough, astute, zealous, personable and trustworthy. That's how former Assistant Commissioner of Police Emerson Moore was remembered by one of his superiors during a funeral service at the St. Paul's Anglican Church this afternoon. Lisa Broom was there and files this report.
Acting Deputy Commissioner of Police Seymour Cumberbatch delivered one of several tributes to the 42-year veteran of the Royal Barbados Police Force. Former ACP Moore, the congregation was told, travelled through the ranks of the force after leaving the Regional Police Training Centre in 1971, serving with distinction in every position. Those included Commandant of the RPTC, Divisional Officer for the Southern Division, and Head of the Drug Squad. ACP Moore, or Emmy as he is known to his close friends, passed away on April 8th after bravely battling pancreatic cancer. Deputy Commissioner Cumberbatch remembered his former course mate as one who had a never-quit attitude and who, even in the face of challenges, remained focused on being the best.
I can boldly say that he was an officer who had the requisite integrity that he undertook with passion, with an eye of success, and with a determination to be fair and fearless. As a result of this approach, over time he has earned the respect of many, and at times the fear of some of those who choose to stand on the wrong side of the law.
In his sermon, Canon Wayne Isaacs reminded ACP Moore's family and friends to believe in the goodness of life and God in their mourning.
God comes to our help when we are going through difficult moments in our lives. God is present with us this evening to comfort and strengthen us as we grieve for a loved one who has died. We are never alone.
ACP Moore leaves to mourn his wife Betty and their two children, Hanif and Maria. Lisa Broom, Cbc News.
A few short power outages were recorded over the Easter weekend, with two major ones being attributed to kite flying. Corporate Communications Officer with the BL&P, Jackie Marshall-Clark, says affected areas included parts of St. Thomas and St. Michael. She tells CBC News the power company was quick to restore service to the affected communities.
57 minutes affecting the St. Thomas substation and the other 11 minutes that affected our White Park substation. On Monday in St. Thomas, the areas affected were Jukes, Hillaby, Content, Lion Castle, Sturgis, and Castle Grant. And on Monday, the areas affected were Barbary Hill, Eagle Hall, Westbury Road, and our crews removed a kite from a pole in the Barbary Hill area then.
Barbadians living in the Scotland district have been reminded they are subject to laws governing that area, which a former general manager of the National Conservation Commission calls a geographical problem. According to Edward Cumberbatch, in the late 1950s, government introduced the Scotland District Soil Conservation Act, and he wants Barbadians to read and understand this piece of legislation.
People do not know about the act. Not even civil servants who recently has been working down there. Not even politicians who may be members for St. Andrew or members for St. Joseph or St. John may not know about the act and can parade as they parade on matters sometimes which they know nothing about.
Mr. Cumberbatch was among a group of panelists at a discussion entitled Big Grain, Rice and Beyond, Feeding the Barbados Yesterday and Today at the Queen's Park Steel Shed. There, the question was asked if the Scotland District was an unexploited breadbasket. Former area manager for the Barbados Agricultural Management Company, Trevor Rudder, agrees.
And has been true of Barbados for a number of years, since the beginning of the demise of the sugar industry. As you look around, you can see that too much of Barbados is now being unexploited. But the Scotland area can certainly produce the baskets to carry the bread in.
The Caribbean Examinations Council has successfully piloted an alternative to the common entrance exam in schools across the region. And this, according to outgoing Registrar of the Council, Dr. Didicus Jules, is one of the major achievements under his tenure, which lasted about 6 years. Dr. Jules says the Council has also introduced a series of new generation CAPE subjects, including digital media, physical education, and green energy, along with the Caribbean Primary Exit Assessment, or CPA, all of which can give the Caribbean a competitive advantage.
We've done a replacement for the common entrance exams, which has been piloted now for 4 years in several countries of the region, and showing a mix. I dare say that we are the only exam board worldwide that has done that type of transformational shift, where we take assessment, learning and teaching and have them more tightly worked out as a nexus to reinforce each other.
Dr. Jules was speaking to CBC News at the end of a farewell function held in his honor at the Hilton Hotel. His biggest challenge, he says, has been the conservative nature of those in charge of education in the region. Organizers of the Digicel Reggae Festival say they will not be turning their back on local reggae talent. That assertion from FAS Director Al Jilks, who says that's why he's made sure to book Bajan acts for all events of the festival. He believes they need to have the opportunity to build a following and a successful music career in the future.
What we always try to do, even when we have a Bajan Reggae Night, we try to supplement the visiting artists with a large cast of local artists to give them the exposure, to give them the experience of being on the same stage of the internationals, whereby they can learn the different techniques and they can learn how to present themselves on stage.
Mr. Jilts also made clear that there will be no turning back on Bajan Reggae Night on Saturday at the Reggae Lounge. Last year, the show was called off due to issues with hosting it at Kensington Oval, but the FAS director says they've been able to put together a better package this time around.